We all know when it's October. Buildings light up pink, store shelves overflow with pink merchandise, and everyone is wearing their pink pins. But what does that all mean? Who are we really helping, and how are we raising awareness? Most importantly, how are we making a difference in the lives of those impacted by this disease? Because breast cancer isn't a 31-day campaign. It's a year-round battle for those fighting it every single day. My guest today is Tracy. She doesn't just talk about breast cancer in October. She works year-round, boots on the ground, directly helping survivors, survivors, and thrivers. She transformed her pain into purpose and founded BRCA Strong, an organization dedicated to supporting the breast cancer community 365 days a year. Join me on Candid with Claudia in welcoming Tracy Milgram. Hi, Tracy. Welcome to Candid with Claudia.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know, it's funny because I'm here thinking of the space that we're in, but then I'm thinking of why we're here, right? And so we didn't choose this, it chose us. And I met you not that long ago. You are the founder of BRCA Strong. How impressive is that? And we're going to get into that. But for our audience who may not know you, and how could they not know you? That's what I said to myself after I met you 2 months ago. What do you tell somebody when they ask you who are you and what you do?
So I told them that I'm the founder of BRCA Strong, and it's based on my own personal story. And regardless if you carry a genetic mutation or not, you're not alone. And we're here to help you feel whole again throughout your journey and give you the support that you need.
And so when I think of that, you are right. But how much deeper are we going to go than that? Because you are not a one-time, but you are a two-time survivor. So take me back to your diagnosis.
So I found out first that I was BRCA2 positive at the age of 21. And then I found out at the age of 23 that I had skin cancer on my foot. And then about 6 months ago, I was diagnosed with my second skin cancer. And then as well as I'm not only a survivor of that, but I'm a purvivor, which is somebody who took preventative action against breast and ovarian cancer.
There are many of us, including Claudia, who, while I am a breast cancer survivor, they don't know what that's like foreign language, right? What is BRCA?
So BRCA is a genetic mutation that means you're at a higher predisposition of getting a diagnosis of cancer. That does not mean you will receive a diagnosis. It just puts you at a higher genetic chance, basically saying that I had an 87% chance for breast cancer and a 67% chance for ovarian cancer. And that was over 22 years ago. And now over time, things have been learned more in science, and there is other cancers that are associated with the BRCA mutation. And it is more than just a BRCA mutation. There's PALP2. There's so many other genetic mutations that have been developed over the years.
What made you take the BRCA gene test?
So at the age of 18, my grandmother was battling breast cancer, and I found a lump in the shower. And I had just graduated high school, and I went to my gynecologist, who then referred me for a mammogram and to the breast surgeon. And the breast surgeon, due to my family history, said, we have to do a lumpectomy. I'm like, lumpectomy? So at 18, I underwent my first lumpectomy. At 19, I underwent my second lumpectomy, and then again at 21. And I looked at my breast surgeon, and I was like, what are my options? And he dug into my family history, found out that I was Ashkenazi Jewish descent, that my 3 aunts had breast cancer, and my youngest aunt died at 40. So he said, let's go for genetic testing. And again, in 2004, it was just breast and ovarian cancer. So I said, sure, sign me up. And then little did I know, at 21, I found out that I was BRCA2 positive.
And how was that?
It was the hardest news, I think, that I could ever receive, because most 21-year-olds are living their most phenomenal life, in college, out with their friends. And here I had to make the decision where I was either going to undergo a mastectomy or a hysterectomy or go on tamoxifen. And those options for me were just not in the right space. I felt like I was too young. As long as I was doing my screenings, I would be okay. So I decided for a decade that I would undergo screenings every 6 months. And that was either an MRI, a mammogram, or an ultrasound. And, you know, for ovarian cancer, there is no early detection. So that was just taking a chance.
So what made you make that big decision?
So I rushed my life. I got married and decided I wanted to have 2 children and I wanted to nurse them. So after my youngest was 3 and my daughter was 6.5, I was like, it's time. To my ex-husband, who now is my ex-husband, I said, it's time for me to take control of my life. And I went in for a full hysterectomy at 32. And 6 months later, I went in for a prophylactic bilateral mastectomy with reconstruction.
And how was that decision? That you know, I opted for a mastectomy as well when I got my diagnosis, but you did it, and to some extent I did too. You did it as preventative. What at that moment when you're making that decision that you don't have to, some may say, what was your thought process? I mean, what made you make that decision?
So I said, I'm removing healthy body parts to stay for my children. And I wanted to be around to see my children grow, to have grandchildren. And I said, there's no screening for ovarian cancer. Let's start there, which would reduce my risk of breast cancer. And then I said, you know what? I nursed 2 children. My youngest aunt died at 40 again. So I was like, it's fine. It's ready. The hardest part mentally for me was not being able to keep my nipples, to be honest. I was floored. I said to myself, how can I process this mentally? What am I going to look like? But the support system that I had really helped me through my mom, my daughter, and my ex-husband. Honestly, without them, I'm not sure, and my Nana, that I could have pushed through. And just watching my grandmother fight breast cancer, go for radiation, and losing so many family members, it was like I wanted to take control of my health.
How's your daughter in this whole process?
She's super powerful. She's my biggest inspiration. She is my reason for BRCA Strong. I was 6 weeks out of my mastectomy, and, you know, I kept it very open with her. She was still young, but obviously seeing your mom go through different phases was traumatizing, and I didn't want her to be traumatized. I wanted her to know that we can move forward in life, and this is how we will proceed. And explaining a mastectomy to her was not easy because there was no resources. And at 6 weeks, we were in the bathroom. She was helping me. She was very encouraging me, telling me the whole time I was beautiful. Never did she ever say anything that would hurt my feelings or not understand. And she's like, you're like a butterfly. You'll be beautiful again. Don't worry. And from that day forward, I just was like my inspiration to want to thrive, to want to show her what it's like to go through troubled times and to know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And now she's an advocate. She speaks out. She's 16. We just celebrated 10 years, as you know. And, you know, she goes out and encourages people in the community, get genetic testing, talk about your family history, do your self-breast exams.
What point in your process of skin cancer diagnosis, the BRCA gene diagnosis, going through the mastectomy, and you've said you have, how many reconstructive surgeries have you had? 19. Where in that whole process did you stop it and say, this is greater than me? I've got to do something. That was the birth of BRCA Strong.
So Gabby actually created it from the time.
Gabby is your
daughter. So from the time that we were in the bathroom, I said, we've got to turn this into something larger. And, you know,
what was that moment? And I like to ask this because we all have that pivot or that turning point in our life that just made us go from here to there. And I know what my point was. What was that point? Was it surgery 5, 1? You know, what was it for you that says no? Because let's be real, it's about you. You have children. You didn't have to do BRCA Strong. But now you're out there empowering, being the voice of those that don't even know. We're going to go into a little BRCA Strong next. But what was that defining moment that you and your daughter says, no, this is greater than us, and we need to do this?
When she called me a butterfly, I said, this is our calling. Like, there's different phases in life, from the metamorphosis into turning into a butterfly, and it's our time. And just seeing the drains and saying this shouldn't be okay for women. Mommy, I can't believe that there's nothing out there to help you. And she's like, this yarn around your waist is not okay. And, you know, from that moment, I knew it was going to be bigger. I felt it in my soul. I knew that no children should have to see bodily fluids and tubes hanging from their parents. If we can avoid that, why not? Why not help the children that are being exposed to this, right? Because again, we didn't ask for this. We didn't want a diagnosis. The diagnosis chose us, right? So how can we continue to make women feel whole again? And I felt that I was not whole. I felt broken. And from that day forward, was the birth.
Now, how impressionable is that? Your daughter is how old now?
16.
So she was going through this at the age of 6 and 7 and 8.
And still to this day, she just holds my hand through everything, through going to the doctor. She wants to go with me. She wants to make sure she understands. She wants to be heard. She's pushing for genetic testing herself. We're telling her no till she's 18. You know, there's obviously more than just, you know, doing a genetic test, but understanding it is the most important. And she's witnessed it firsthand.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about BRCA Strong.
So BRCA Strong.
So it's celebrating 10 years.
10 years.
That's impressive.
We literally are in our garage. That's where we are based out of. We send pre-mastectomy care packages to women who are either breast cancer survivors, thrivers, or previvors like myself who need everything that you need prior to a mastectomy. So we provide post-mastectomy bras with removable drain pockets, robes and shirts with drain pockets. So again, when you're sitting at home and your family and friends want to come over, you can just feel comfortable in your own skin. You don't have to hide who you are. It's a normal shirt or it's a robe. And those little things, even over the times that I've had revisions, have helped me feel comfortable. And feeling comfortable in your skin during healing is so important mentally. Because I think a lot of times as we go through this, the mental component isn't thought about enough.
So the mental component, in my opinion, I don't want to say is everything, but is everything. When I was going through my diagnosis, we have a friend in common. And I wasn't as open and as vocal as nor you nor Crystal. But it was a text from Crystal, and I shared that in my season 1 when she was there, that really opened me up and made me feel okay, for lack of a better word. Because physically the pain goes away to some extent, right? Mm-hmm. But mentally, that's the component that takes a minute. Because you do feel broken, because you do see the scars, and because the nipples and the mastectomies and the surgeries and all of that, just that mental picture stays in your head and can really not make you feel whole, right? And so Crystal was that kind of saving grace for that text that I got from her. But you are right, the mental component is one area. What does BRCA Strong do to help that component with women who get the care package? And you're going to share with us a care package in a few, but how do you help them mentally? What are some things that you have learned in your own journey of that resilience? Because, you know, people ask me, yeah, how did you get through it? And how did you survive? You know, sometimes it makes me think, right? I don't have that answer because it's not something you gain at night, in a day, in one day. It's over time. And you just find it in you. So how did you find that resilience? Or how do you help the survivors and the providers and the thrivers mentally? Is there a part of BRCA Strong as a program? What do you do?
So we have different programs, fashion shows, transformational photo shoots. They're all here to help you feel whole again throughout that. Basically, you know, when you have a mastectomy, and I'm sure you can relate, Claudia, getting dressed isn't as easy, right? Like looking at what you wear, finding that bra, finding comfort in the clothes that you're wearing. We want to help you and do provide that. So we partner with Dillard's. We partner with different companies, right, to provide fashion shows. And how do we prepare these women? Some of them are like, I don't want to walk, but I want to do it, but I'm just not strong enough. I'm like, we're going to get through it together. And we go for fittings. Sometimes these fittings take hours, but it's helping somebody and just holding their hand and making sure that you're reminding them they are beautiful.
And so essentially when you're doing that, you're helping them mentally.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, like we do the transformational photo shoot called Dear Body, and Crystal is like, Tracy, this is like the biggest game changer. Just you go in and you're like, what am I going to do? And then, you know, you share your story and you hear all these women around you, and it reminds you of how resilient you really are.
Yeah. One of the things that I have loved about BRCA Strong, when I saw that night, when I was at your gala, your 10-year celebration gala, was I don't know, it's like almost when you survive, everybody there is just like either illuminated or just they don't care. They don't really give a shit who you are, what you are. They're just so empowered, right? They just are. Like, and I've been to so many galas in my life, so many. But when I was there, I remember thinking like, oh, like everybody is just, you know, like authentic, I guess for lack of a better word, authentic, happy, and just, I remember thinking to myself when I was sitting there watching Crystal, you know, socialize, and I went with Crystal. I remember thinking, I was like, you know what it is? They're just so happy to be alive, because in a quarter of a second, we could have been gone. And so that's when my level of respect to even survivors, and it made me want to say, no, Claudia, you know, share your story. And then I heard you speak that night. And then I heard a keynote speaker speak that night. And then I'm like, you know what? More people have got to speak, because I do believe stories heal, because it makes you humanize that this is not the disease that's going to kill you, but it humanizes the disease, right? It's not going to take you. No, we're going to win. We're still here. And we're in this space right now. And so.
And it's about be your most authentic self, right? Like no matter what, we can destroy it versus the turnaround, right? Like it can destroy you or you can destroy it. And that's a lot of the communication that we share with our survivors, right? Even our NBC girls, the girl who did the prayer, Janice, you'd never know she's stage 4 with 2 little kids, found out she was stage 4 when she was pregnant with her youngest son, and is out here thriving. And to see that on the stage and to know that she's resilient and stands up and empowers and inspires, and her voice is heard. You know, hear me, understand that I don't carry a genetic mutation, and this is my story. It can happen to anybody.
And I saw you were with Lisa Petrillo.
Yes.
That's what's so, and I hate to use the word fascinating, right? But that's what's fascinating, because in a quarter of a second, you meet someone, and it doesn't matter where you all came from. You instantaneously have this conversation. So I ran into her, and I hadn't seen her in a few years, but I ran into her at their Race for the Cure walk. And I was able to interview her real quick. And, you know, she was just there. And she said to me, you know, wow, I'd never really come here before, but look at this tribe of just people and women and support. But it took me back to something I hear you say often, and I want to talk about real quick. And that is, this is not a 31-day disease. This is a 365-day-a-year struggle and survivorship that we go through. And that's where I want to go into next as far as BRCA Strong, because October is coming to an end. And the pink sea that we see everywhere will be gone, right? But the struggles are not.
Right.
The stories are not. And so you do a lot now in October, but what do you do year round that really impacts and helps the patient, the survivor, their families, and those going through it at whatever given month that they're going through it, not just in October?
So really, like you said, it's 365 days a year, and pink washing is real in October, and nobody talks about, you know, where is this money going when you're going to Race for a Cure, when you're going to all these big walks, where is that money going? Who are you helping and how are you helping them?
Love that. I agree.
And at BRCA Strong, you know, again, celebrating 10 years, we've helped over 10,500 women. This week alone, we had 200 pre-mastectomy care package requests. So that's what we're focusing on, is how can we help each woman once they are diagnosed or once they find out they have a mutation. And throughout the year, we do fashion shows. We have our 5K coming up January 10th in Hollywood. We have Funny and Pink comedy show. You know, again, let's take the fear out of cancer. Let's go meet physicians without their white coats. Let's be real. Yeah. Let's do yoga. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about sex after cancer. Let's talk about life after cancer. Because once you receive that diagnosis, you're a survivor. And that survivor goes into survivorship. And that's what's carried on throughout the year.
That was the one thing that I loved about hearing that. And I was just like, I didn't get diagnosed in October. Right. I don't only get my mammograms in October. Right. So I'm gonna do something with you real quick to kind of like, of course, fun here. I'm gonna have you pick out a card. Any card. Pick it one. Each one has a question for you. But I will read the question.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Oh, this is unfair. This is an easy one. Okay. So there's 10 cards representing each year of BRCA Strong.
Okay.
Because you're celebrating your 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So card 1 would have been, what was your struggle probably for year 1? This is an easy one. In year 10, what was the biggest win you had this year?
The gala was the biggest win. It really was. It was just a time where we elevated. You never see your dream. And then when you see your dream come true, it's like when I walk in that room, I'm still like seeing the pictures. That was your possibility in a
reality moment.
I'm like, look, I could get teary-eyed talking about it. It was
impressive.
It was a dream. And to be really honest and open with the community, my daughter and myself did that entire event. And I'm just so pleased with the outcome, the community, the love and support, the money we raise, the women we will be able to continue to help and to continue on our programs. It was a dream.
So let's have a little, let's do a little fact and fiction for our audience, because there's always all right. Fact or fiction? Only women with a family history get breast cancer. Fact or fiction?
Fiction.
Men can't have the BRCA gene.
Fiction.
You don't need to worry if you're under 30.
Fiction.
When you're over 45, you need to get it every 6 months.
Fiction.
All right, we're going to do another one, little fun. We're going to do a little kind of like you're going to finish the sentence for me.
Okay.
Being a survivor means?
You were diagnosed with a cancer, but survivor continues on for the rest of your life.
My biggest lesson is?
Oh, she got me. My biggest lesson, opening up to the community and not sharing sooner for the support that you need.
BRCA Strong exists because?
Of my daughter.
If every woman were listening, they should?
Do a self-breast exam.
Look at that. You were quick. Okay. We're going to do a little more after. But right now, I want to see what's in the survivor bag that you help with the women. So let's pull it out. And you're going to take us through every one, and you're going to tell us what's in all of it.
Okay. So first, before we get to that, this is just a little gift for Claudia. So we partner with Thrive Cosmetics, and is a perk to help women feel whole again, whether it's your lipstick.
Joy is the best makeup.
Best makeup ever. Love them. So everybody gets a Thrive bag, and inside the Thrive bag is first a bra company called Ana Ono. So you buy one, you give one, or you get 20% off. So it's for post-mastectomy, no underwires, super comfortable.
Very nice.
Then we have Uncancer for women who are going through treatment for dry mouth to help them avoid all the blisters in their mouth. And then we have B-Cure, which is for chemo and radiation burns, so you can prepare when you're home. Then this is a seatbelt pillow, so when you're driving to your doctor's appointments and you're leaving, it goes onto your seatbelt, and it's comfort for cushioning.
Of course.
And this is the bra by Ana Ono, and it has the removable drain pockets with a drain log in the back, so you can keep track of your drain record, so your drains can come out as soon as possible.
Where were you in 2021 for me?
And then the pockets are removable, so you can use it, and then you can use the bra after.
Those drains were horrible.
It's the worst part of a mastectomy, I would say. Yeah. And then these are custom shirts that we have made. So you literally can as you know, Claudia, you cannot lift your arms up that high when you come out of surgery. So these are button-down shirts, and on the inside, they have drain pockets.
Yep. Wow. Very nice.
And then there's also a robe with
Very
drain pockets
nice.
as well. So again, we're talking about healing and comfort versus what do I wear when I come home?
Yeah.
And especially to the people who have family and children around them, we want to keep them comfortable.
And so when you raise the money, how many of these packets do you, and are you just in Florida?
We're national.
You're national.
We ship everywhere in the U.S.
At no cost to the patient?
At no cost. So every dollar that comes in goes to every woman's package.
Now, you also, when you were with Lisa Petrillo yesterday or sometime this week, what I really loved also about it, you were at a restaurant. You're focusing in on nutrition. Tell me about that.
So we're working with Sylvester Baptist, all different hospitals, and really focusing on the foods, because as somebody who's going through treatment, you are told you can't eat meat. What do you eat? How do you
you're told no sugar, right?
No sugar. So how do you know what nutrition to put in your body? So a couple weeks ago, we worked with a nutritionist and literally had them on talking about the colors of the rainbow, of how important it is to eat every color and why, your omega-3s, your different proteins. So from that, we partnered with Bolay in the whole state of Florida for the month of October and have a BRCA Bowl.
I saw that. Where are they located?
They're everywhere in Florida.
I had never heard of them.
What I like is you can get like spaghetti squash noodles, which are so amazing. Like rice, jasmine rice.
Where are they located in Miami?
I don't know. I'll get you a list of locations.
Where were you at on
In Hollywood.
In Hollywood.
And I happened to meet the CEO of Bolay, who is just full of knowledge and really understood how powerful our movement is, and really said, I want to support this to educate the community. It wasn't like, oh, you're bringing me business. It was, I want to educate the community.
And that is where you ran into Lisa Petrillo.
Yep. So she was amazing, and sharing her story and just opening up. And, everybody knows somebody who's affected. Yes. But when you sit down with newscasters or mayors or commissioners or the higher powers and just hear their story and how impactful it is, it reassures you of you're doing the right thing.
What is one small action you hope every listener takes this Breast Cancer Awareness Month, aside from wearing pink?
Know where your money goes when you're making donations. Honestly, truly look into that organization and understand what you're supporting. That's my biggest thing throughout October always. So you walk into the store and you see a pink ribbon and you're like, oh, I want it because it has a pink ribbon, right? But is it going to a cause? Is it going to a supplier? Where is it going? And really understanding that every organization plays a purpose, but know what their purpose is.
You've built a tremendous community and sisterhood. What does that really mean to you?
Sometimes I'm in denial and I'm like, how did I ever create something so powerful? And really, it means the world that women trust in me to help them throughout their journey.
I have a question. So do you have a membership at BRCA Strong, or is it just a foundation where you raise money and you do work and you do event?
Yep, that's exactly how it is. We don't have a membership, so any money that comes in goes right to our programs.
Okay.
And we also have a post-mastectomy program, which is, obviously, as I'm sure you're aware, you can't just walk in and buy a bra. So where do you go get a bra after a mastectomy? Some women love bras. Some women want to wear sports bras. So we provide a post-mastectomy bra program as well. So you can go get fitted, and then we provide you the bras.
How does somebody reach you?
So they can go on our website at BRCA Strong, which is BRCAstrong.org, or the famous social media Instagram, BRCA Strong.
Okay. What would you tell someone who just received their diagnosis they have cancer? And then the next question is, what would you tell someone who just received the diagnosis that they have the BRCA gene?
So if you find out you carry a genetic mutation, it is not a death sentence. Knowledge is power. Take that knowledge and apply it. Get your screenings. You don't have to take surgical action. You can do surveillance. And for somebody that was just diagnosed as a breast cancer survivor, You are not alone, and there's a lot of options out there. Let me help you understand and navigate you through the journey. Understand your treatment options as well as your breast reconstruction options, because a lot of women are not fully informed of their breast reconstruction options.
What is one self-care routine that you don't ever skip now?
Repeating my affirmations that are on my mirror every morning. And it's a simple one line, scars are sexy, just reminding myself that my scars don't define me.
We talk about scars. So how did it make you feel? And maybe you haven't been in this predicament. I was a few times. You know, there's a misconception about reconstructive surgery, right? Because that's the gist of where your scars come from, aside from mastectomy. Oh, you're just going in for another plastic surgery. No.
This is not a boob job.
This is not a boob job.
This is not an augmentation. They're going in there, taking all of your breast tissue out,
leaving you in no sensation.
That.
Of course.
And
yes.
the no sensation plays such a big role in
100%.
women, whether you're married, whether you're single, no matter who you are. Understanding that you will not have sensation is a big
And to
step.
many women who actually go into the surgery, you don't even know if when you wake up you're going to have nipples or not.
Correct.
Because if the margins came out too high or whatever the case may be, you're going to wake up and you're not going to have any. So yeah, I think that misconception that reconstructive surgery is plastic surgery is definitely something that needs to be brought more awareness to.
100%.
Because I got that often, and I'm like, yeah, no, that this is not out of pleasure, and this is out of because of need to be able to, live and survive, and
And we've come really far. I mean, from 20 years ago to now, there's now resensation, where there is an option that some surgeons are doing and reconnecting the nerves, so you do have sensation. And it's newer. It's not something that everybody's doing.
Yeah.
And that's the other trick, right? Is like when you go, you find out your options, but you're like, wow, 5 options. What do I do? What's best for me? And defining what's best for you might be different for me. But understanding those options is imperative.
Yeah, and not only that, but that does not take away from the fact that this is not an elective surgery.
Correct.
This is a surgery out of need to be able to live and survive. And
Correct.
So, so there's definitely a difference.
What we say is a mastectomy is not a boob job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got that off you. That's not happening. So I want to leave you with this. What would you tell your younger self today? Is there anything in your journey that you did that you would do differently?
Knowledge is power. And whatever pain you have, turn it into your purpose.
What words of wisdom would you like to leave to any young lady or women watching us today that may be in a specific season in their life of cancer, whether they're surviving, they just got the diagnosis, whatever phase they're in? What would you let them know?
Know your body, and you're beautiful.
Tracy, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate your wisdom, your authenticity, your candidness, but more importantly, your story, and for being so open about it, not only in October, but 365 days of the year. I love following you. I love watching what you're doing, and I thank you wholeheartedly. I hope I never have to call you that I need you. I only want to call you and tell you, hey, would you like to get some coffee, or would you like to be on Candid with Claudia again? But to anyone who may need any assistance with your season of being in a diagnosis, please reach out to BRCA Strong. She can definitely guide you in the direction that you're going to need. And more importantly, do not forget to subscribe and follow her Instagram handle to give you some guidance in whatever they may need. Until then, thank you so much for being a part of Candid with Claudia. Thank you for tuning in. And in the interim, do not forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel and Spotify. Until next week, stay tuned.